So look at this. NASA need a new space costume. And because of the direction they're going, pushing the private sector, they're going to make it rather obvious the template, the process they use to sell this silly private sector of space. Just entertain this. This is regarding their new suit that they take to the moon, apparently. Don't think there's any sound on this video, strangely enough. Right, I'll pause it here. Axiom Space was founded in 2016. It has not manufactured any space-related hardware so far. So it's been going 7 years now without any contracts whatsoever. No company would exist paying wages for that long without a contract. So it's obvious this company's been set up for a purpose. And of course, all these years later, not winning a contract, a company that shouldn't even exist, should have gone bankrupt years ago, mysteriously wins this billion-pound contract to make space costumes. Let's continue. So in 2019, NASA introduced new spacesuits for the moon and Mars. So NASA have already designed it. So they've now just got in this company that's won no contracts for years and years, nothing. Can you see how obvious this is? The company's obviously been set up for this purpose, to make this silly costume, to sell the lie of space, and of course the private sector. But no company would have existed that long without any contracts. Wow, it's just wow. And then you look at it. I'm guessing this is from this has been influenced from a TV show or a film, a sci-fi film. I just don't watch this tosh like the mainstream TV media. I just don't. Don't get me wrong, I love good music and I do appreciate a good old film. But this sci-fi tosh, nah. That's just a U2 pilot's crash helmet. So this is the Artemis suit, okay. So in 2022, NASA selected this Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace to make these space costumes. The potential value of the contract of $3.5 billion. So this Axiom Space survived for 6 years paying wages, rent, business, advertising, and who knows what, without any work, without any contracts whatsoever. They just make it so obvious. Jeez. And in 2023, we get to see the space costume. And here it is. Wonderful. No doubt that's inspired by some tosh from the television. $3.5 billion worth of tech there. From a company that mysteriously survived for 6 years without any contracts whatsoever. Incredible. Yeah, let's get that flag in there. Let's get some gullible Americans, all patriotic and deluded. And this silliness will actually have some people fooled. It baffles me. Let's just pause it there. It baffles me. If you're a glow believer or a mainstream believer and you're watching this, explain to me how a company survives for 6 years without any contracts whatsoever, paying wages, rent. Explain that to me. Be logical. Articulate yourself in a really good fashion. Make sense. Tell me another company that's done that. The only other companies you'll find with the same stories all come from the private sector of so-called space. Are you starting to see the problem here? It's all to sell a silly lie, the charade of space, which of course is sold via the television really. Most of the power of space is done through sci-fi films, documentaries. Get the old imagination going. And unfortunately, it is gullible, naive individuals. These people actually will make videos about me as well because they're so upset that I destroy their fantasy world. Sorry guys, I feel sorry for you. I got nothing but love in my heart for your delusions. I'd give you a big hug if I saw you. You need a hug. You're lost. You're hating me. Making all sorts of silly accusations online, guys. But what you're doing is leaving a historical timeline of you ripping off your subs, misrepresenting them by producing maps and models that aren't my claims, not providing any science, but you're going down in history as someone who's lying and deceiving and actually going against humanity, not an opinion, a demonstrable fact. And here, just looking at the latest bit of space news, is obvious. We can see the space private sector is a silly charade. The only companies you'll ever find who survive that long without contracts come from the private sector. If you cannot see it, then do not expect me to entertain you. Unless, of course, you've got something incredibly logical and you articulate yourself in a really good way. You make sense and you justify this silliness.